All right, so I realized that I completely forgot to provide this quick overview of our new uh, Arissa subclass, the Circle of Scales Druid. Originally, I was going to try and work on a Druid with a different theme, specifically calling it the Circle of Gulthrian, which is one of our Aryssan Archmages who, while is mechanically a Druid, is also undead of some sort. But honestly, that was really hard to do, especially with the original idea was going to have you use spell slots to augment wild shape to either summon things or augment your own wild shape, and that just got messy, convoluted, and it wasn't a clean design. So took a step back to rethink the approach, and I honestly like druids, but the wild shape always felt weird to me, so I wanted to find a new alternative way to use wild shape. And what I really dislike was the whole turning into different things aspect of wild shapes, which I know is the reason a lot of people enjoy it. So I made our Circle of Scales Druid specifically to give people who like druids but wanted to not have to turn into a bear or an elk or whatever appropriate CR level beast to be useful. This is going to be one of the more elegant and simple classes that we build because it's very simple. We're taking what Wild Shape does and gives you better melee capabilities, a pool of temporary hit points, and minor bits of utility. Some druids get much more utility out of it than others. So, with our current setting, Arissa being set entirely on a living world serpent, I decided that we would use that to create a weird mishmash of druids who can use the fact that they are part of this world serpent and, like the old Ronin Warriors cartoon. So our druid here is going to use wild shape to summon the world serpent scales to armor them. So if you click over to the Beyond write-up, which should be here on our screen, you're going to get to see, our general write-up. Gives us a little bit of the background, why you should play one, gives you a little bit of an idea on building your Circle of Scales Druid. Since you're going to rely a lot on Shillelagh, you should have a decent and high wisdom. Your wild shape doesn't change your form, so high dexterity and constitution are going to be a little more important to you than other druids who might be able to sneak by fights with average dex and con by turning into the appropriate creatures for extra defense. And since you're not going to necessarily use your wild shape charges to turn into a bird or turn into a burrowing animal or things like that, you might want to keep that in mind when you pick your spell loadout. So here's a rundown of what you get as a Circle of Scales Druid. A quick note on D&D Beyond, for whatever reason, druids require a third level feature. They don't really get it, so there is a placeholder level 3 feature that is just there with text so that you can actually use it without it giving you an error. So when you take this circle at second level, if you didn't know Shillelagh, you learn it because you're going to be relying on that, because when you use your wild shape to invoke the armor of the world serpent, one of the benefits you get is that if you're holding a Shillelagh, you get to take a bonus action to cast it if you're not, and if you're already holding it, you can make an immediate attack with advantage when you use your wild shape to summon it. It also, as long as you're wearing your armor, Shillelagh's duration doesn't run out. So it's going to be your main way of dealing damage. It's keyed to wisdom, and as you increase in level, the bonuses that Shillelagh has increases. You start to deal elemental damage as well as the magic damage, and I think around level 8 to 10 it also gains reach. As you see, as you gain in levels where a regular druid would be getting higher CR things to turn into, you get more temporary hit points and you gain more resistances and immunities, as well as getting bonus armor. One of the big things is at level 8, when you summon your armor, as long as you're wearing it, and when you summon it, you automatically wear it. Like I said, we're kind of inspired by Ronin Warriors here. You're going to gain proficiency in the Constitution saving throw, which makes the standard Druid approach of cast a really important concentration spell, then turn into a bear and maintain it. This gives you a little more staying power in that you're probably going to make those con saves to not lose your concentration. Here we are. Your enhanced Shillelagh. You gain some. Oh, it's not until level 14 where you get radiant damage and reach. Level 10. You may have noticed that unlike a lot of other Druid circles that give you spells you automatically have prepared, you don't get that here until level 10, where you automatically prepare Healing Word and Shatter. The reason this is important is that besides not counting against your prepared spell list, up to your wisdom modifier per day, minimum of 1, you can cast these spells while you're under the effect of your Armor of the World Serpent. And this is important because whereas Wild Shape gets the high-level Druid features that let you cast spells while Wild Shaped, Armor of the World Serpent does not. So these two, Healing Word and Shatter, become your in-combat main spells while you're under the effect of your armor. In a later draft, we might change that because that's a little... That being able to cast your 8th and 9th level spells at level 20 as a Druid is probably very important to staying relevant during combat. So we might change that, just like we might change you to getting, a little more damage out of your enhanced Shillelagh rather than poison, fire, and radiant damage. Like we might change this poison damage to acid damage just to make sure you're hitting the 3 common damage types you need to shut down regeneration, just to give you a little bit of that flavor and additional power. And then finally, like I said, there's not a whole lot going on here on this because it's a fairly straightforward, simple subclass. And like I said here, you need a level 3 placeholder, so there it is. The only other big thing coming up is November is National Novel Writing Month, and I'm going through old drafts, fixing them up. I'm going to build a new updated Google Drive portfolio of writing over the next couple of weeks, and then do another one of these where I go through the ones I liked, what I didn't, and try and sell you a little bit harder on why you should do NaNoWriMo National Novel Writing Month, even if you don't like to write. Anyway, that is the long and short of it. So thank you again, and here, go look at the Circle of Scales Druid. I think all that's left for us to do now is... What is left to do now? Sorcerer, and then we'll have our first draft. And then we'll transfer everything off of Beyond into the World Book, do an edit pass, not finalize them, but get them ready to the point where we can share the World Book and have people, fiddle around with it. Anyway, like I said, thank you very much. Go be a Druid, and next week we'll talk more about National Novel Writing Month.